Hello again, everyone. This is Howard Cosell, speaking of sports.
You are listening to the Cheap Seats.
Who are these guys?
On Twitter at TCSWillisMSP Detterman, Spreaker and iHeartRadio.
Here is Steve and Steve.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Ah, boy, here we go.
Happy Super Bowl day. How you doing?
Happy Super Bowl day.
Happy Super Bowl day. Not just any Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50.
It is.
And to celebrate, it is the one, the only, the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio doing our inaugural XCRS Radio Super Bowl special.
It was supposed to be our second one. But remember last year at this time.
Yeah, last year
it was an Armageddon around here.
It was terrible. So this year, and what a Super Bowl to do it for, Super Bowl 50. I am, of course, your host, Steve Willis, along beside me, my partner in crime, my very own Steve Detterman. How are you?
I am doing great. I tell you, it's much different from last year. Last year, snow, cold, wind blowing over. Now, it is nice enough to go out. When I was walking in, I said, this would be a great day to get a couple guys together and throw the football around. I mean, this is a great day for a flag football game.
Yeah, it really is.
The weather, I mean, it's going to be about, what, mid-40s?
Yeah, I can't believe
mid to upper 40s in February.
Here.
I sat there last night, and I was outside. I'm getting ready for today, so I got the grill going last night, actually.
Really?
Just to warm it up.
Yeah.
I'm out there grilling. My neighbor comes out, and we're talking. I said, you know what? I said, this is hard to believe that it's February, and I'm sitting out here in a long-sleeve shirt at the grill.
In February.
In February.
Beginning of February, by the way, too.
Yes,
we're not talking like the end of February.
No, we're not talking February 28th or 9th.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're talking the 5th or the 6th. And here I am. I'm standing out there in a long-sleeve shirt, T-shirt, grilling. And I'm going to be doing the same. As soon as we get done here, I'm sorry, I'm not sticking around to chat. I am on my way home because I've got a grill that is calling, and there's going to be a lot of things on there because when that game starts, I am going to be ready because this is going to be a game.
Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic game, and we are going to get into the breakdown of the game. Obviously, Carolina Panthers, the Denver Broncos, they've both earned it coming into this. I got to tell you, one has done it with defense, one has done it with overall teamwork and an amazing offense.
Yes.
And you look at these two teams and the dynamics could not be more different on offense and on defense. They play with about the same energy, a little bit more talent on the Broncos side, but I think defensively both teams come in very high energy. They look very good. They've looked good in the entire postseason, but the offenses tell the tale. You've got the new blood in Cam Newton kind of coming into his own, and he is going up against the old guard, which may be his, as he would put it, his last rodeo, and looking to go out with a storybook ending in Peyton Manning. It is a dynamic that we are going to be hearing about all night, and I guess we'll start with how big is this Super Bowl for Peyton Manning versus the rest of them?
I think this is huge for him because, how many times, we said, well, Peyton should be there, my God, he's doing this. And through his whole storied career, his whole Hall of Fame career, he's won a Super Bowl. Just one.
Super Bowl.
His brother Eli, who is far inferior, and I'm going to say far inferior, to Peyton Manning.
Honestly, he is.
I mean, Eli should be. No, he's not even close to elite. Don't even start that discussion. But Eli has 2 Super Bowl wins, and for everything that Peyton Manning has done, he has won. You look back a couple of years ago when he was poised to go for number 2 against the Saints. That onside kick and then that horrible interception, that horrible pick 6 that he threw. And it was at that point, in my eyes, that was the turning. That was the downward trip that I believe Peyton Manning's been on. And now to be able here in this year, in a year that I thought he should have retired last year, to come in and be able to be on the team that gets to the Super Bowl. And I'm not even going to say he led his team to the Super Bowl, because he didn't. The thing that led this team to the Super Bowl was the defense. Without that defense, this team would have gone nowhere. Not a single place. And for Peyton Manning right now, this to me, it's so important for him because he wants to go out on top, and he's not going to be back next year. I don't care, all the speculation in the world, and the speculation right now is he's going to retire. He is going to retire. He cannot do this for another year.
There's speculation, you have rumor, you have all kinds of stuff going on about what's going to happen to Peyton Manning in the offseason. One thing stands in his way from riding out of the arena and riding into the sunset with the Lombardi Trophy, and that, of course, is Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Yes. And when you saw Cam Newton taken in the draft by the Carolina Panthers, then immediately after you saw Von Miller taken by the Denver Broncos, you'd have never thought that the two of them would be meeting up one day on the field for the Super Bowl, for the Lombardi Trophy, or did you?
I didn't. I've been very, very clear. I'm not a big Cam Newton fan. I'm not. I like what he's done this year. I think he's had a spectacular year and well earned, a well earned trip to the Super Bowl. I don't like his shtick. I don't like. I just don't like some of the things that he does.
Right.
There's a difference between bravado and there's a difference between bravado and a difference between cockiness, overindulgence, over publicizing yourself. I mean, I frown upon that. To me, it's like, do your job, get it done, go back to the huddle and do it again. I'm
going to be perfectly honest.
Love it.
With the on-field antics aside, how is Cam Newton off the field? How is he any different than what Joe Namath was?
No,
so marketable.
I understand.
Everybody loves him. He's a very handsome guy. He's got that award-winning smile, and he's very personable, and he's a very real person.
But it doesn't mean that you have to like him, though.
On field, yes, he does have, his Superman thing, and he dabs and everything else. And I get that. But I got news for you. That's the generation coming up. That is, we're going to see more of it than we will less of it. I am sure.
And we see that. I'm a Packer fan. I love Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers had the whole belt thing going on.
Right.
And he did this and that, but Aaron Rodgers didn't take the time to talk about himself. Aaron Rodgers didn't take the time to pat himself on the back and say, look at my stats, look at what I've done, look at what I've come from. And I think that's the difference I'm seeing. I'm seeing, Cam Newton tell me what he's done and pat himself on the back and how he's done this and he's done that. And to me, I don't like the self-promotion. And yes, that's what we're coming to. And I'd like to see that kind of slip back a little bit, because I'll be honest with you, I think that's what the downfall of the NBA has been a lot of the self-promoting by some of the players there. I'd rather let their actions and what they do promote themselves.
Well, I could see an argument for why it would be more prevalent in the NBA, but that's a different argument for a different day.
Well, yeah.
The way I look at this game, when I first saw the matchup, my immediate thought was the Broncos are getting blown out. There's absolutely no way that Denver's going to be able to keep up with the Carolina offense. And then I stopped to think about it. I started doing a little bit of research, and I started realizing what Denver's defense is capable of doing. While I still have a hard time believing that Denver's defense is going to be able to shut down the Carolina offense in its entirety, I do think this game is going to be a lot closer than what a few people have originally thought. If you notice, the line in Vegas has gone down from the initial announcement of this game 2 weeks ago to what we have today. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Peyton Manning getting healthy, looking better in practice, but it also has to do with people just kind of settling down and starting to do their research. And when you look at similar teams, you could definitely tell that Carolina has not faced a defense as voracious as what the Denver Broncos defense is all year. They did, however, face a very strong defense in the playoffs already and have made it past, and actually very convincingly.
They killed them.
Yeah, very convincingly at that. The Broncos, however, have not had to go up against an offense as good as this.
No. And
about the best offense they've gone up against besides this was, or I should say a similar offense, was actually the Kansas City offense during their last encounter at the end of the regular season. The reason why I say that is this: running back that can definitely make you chase him. Very quick running back, make you chase him. A quarterback that's not afraid to get out of the pocket and run the ball. Now, obviously nowhere near as dynamic as Cam Newton, nowhere near as athletic, but the same MO, the same style offense. That West Coast offense, multiple wide receivers and a tight end that can beat you on any play. Denver did struggle against Kansas City defensively both games. So that is that's a point that I looked at when I was breaking down this game. However, the Denver defense has gotten better. Up against New England, they were able to shut down New England and make them a one-dimensional team. Tom Brady throwing 52 times in that game. And when you have LeGarrette Blount coming out of the backfield and you still throw 52 times, they've pretty much made a statement that you're not going to run the ball.
But the thing is LeGarrette Blount is LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount is a serviceable running back. He is not. He's not a top-notch running back. He is not he's not a James Stewart.
But for that game to be that close, and you don't even attempt to continue to run the ball, ergo 52 passing attempts from Tom Brady, that tells you that they had no interest in trying to run against that Denver defense. It's a very interesting matchup in the Super Bowl. I think this is one of the better matchups just because of the dynamics of both teams. And what better way to put Peyton Manning on his ride out? Super Bowl 50, the golden Super Bowl, and to put him on the stage and playing for all the marbles, getting that second Lombardi trophy, which to me, him getting that second Lombardi trophy, that is going to cement him being in the top 5 all-time, no argument. No argument whatsoever. I think if he goes 2 for 4 in Super Bowls, made it to 4, wins 2, rides out with all the records that he has under his belt already, plus 2 Lombardi trophies, come on. You got to give it to him.
I don't know. If you start taking a look and you want to put Super Bowls as your
it's not the watermark, but it's a major part of the criteria.
If you want to put up there, if you start taking a look at it, you've got Tom Brady.
Right.
Okay. You've got Joe Montana. You've got Troy Aikman.
Right.
You can go all the way back and say you've got Terry Bradshaw.
But how many of them not only left with those Super Bowls, but all the passing records that they had?
Well, that's the thing.
But
here's the thing. Where do you rank Marino in there? Marino didn't win one.
See, and that unfortunately is going to be the Achilles heel for Dan Marino because when he retired, he owned every passing record.
But I would put it this way: if Peyton Manning did not win today, you still have the ability to say he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but there would be that sect of people that could argue it because of him going
where would
1 for 4.
Where would you place the newly Hall of Fame person, Brett Favre? Brett Favre held all those records. Brett Favre had the touchdown. He had the passing. He has a record that will never be broken.
Right.
And he has won a Super Bowl. He didn't win 2 because he got beat in Elway's first one.
He was 1 for 2 in Super Bowls.
Yes.
And he held every record.
He held every single record. Would you take him and then put him in front of Troy Aikman? Would you put him in front of Joe Montana?
I would certainly put him in the conversation.
Okay.
Certainly put him in the conversation.
And that's the thing. When we start taking a look at these Super Bowls, and you got to remember, that there are some people that have Super Bowl wins
Right.
as quarterbacks,
Right.
that you just got to shake your head.
Trent Dilfer.
Trent
Very
Dilfer
good
is one
example.
of them. I mean, Doug Williams.
Right.
I mean, we can go down, Hostetler.
Mark Rippon.
Yeah. I mean, walk right down the list.
Very, very good examples of quarterbacks that won Super Bowls on the backs of great defenses.
Joe Namath won a Super Bowl. Would you put him in among the top 5 or 6? I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd put him in my top 10.
Well, see, once again, here we have another thing that we're talking about statistics and the Super Bowls again.
Right.
You don't just take Super Bowl wins and say, okay, that makes or breaks.
No, but
your great quarterbacks.
but you made the statement that you said if he wins his second, it would cement him in. I think he's already there.
If he wins his second, I said it would be hands down, no question.
I don't
there
think,
would be no argument.
At this point, I have no argument right now.
Well,
with what he's put up in his resume that he has, I have no argument.
I would definitely say he has an incredible resume.
Yes, he does.
And first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So, absolutely. Speaking of Hall of Famers, those were announced last night along with the NFL Honors Awards.
Yes, they were. And as you see, I sported my number 4.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your boy, Brett Favre.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
I don't think there was any doubt about that. It was just a matter of when they were going to give him a call.
Along with, of course, Tony Dungy of the Indianapolis Colts and
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
Kevin Green, and who else did we say?
We also had Orlando Pace. And
very great, fantastic lineman.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very good representation. I thought. I mean,
no T.O. though. T.O. got passed up.
There was no T.O.
Kurt Warner as well.
Kurt Warner was another one.
Kurt Warner, I was kind of saddened by that. I mean, I get it because really, Kurt Warner's career was. What they talked about, just a small slice.
The one
of
thing
timeline.
thing they said about Kurt Warner is Kurt Warner had a donut career.
Right, exactly.
Because at the beginning of the career, he resurrected the St. Louis Rams at that time, and he was the one that created, the greatest show on turf. Without him, I mean, his first year there takes him to the Super Bowl and wins, takes him there again.
Right.
Then he had some nondescript years. I mean, just years that he flailed around a little bit, ended up in Arizona, and he took a Arizona Cardinals team that again was nothing.
Right.
And
fledgling team.
Yeah, and took them and just took them on his back and took them to the Super Bowl.
All the way to the Super Bowl. But of course, now we find out, all those fledgling players, guys like Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald, of course, are going to be future Hall of Famers as well now. So we find out that was a fantastic team.
But the thing is without him there, would they have gotten the recognition that they have now?
Absolutely don't think they would have.
And that's the thing. I mean, they got the chance at that time to show off their talents in front of the largest stage out there. And the Super Bowl is that. It is the largest stage for sporting events.
Certainly. Now, one in particular that we haven't mentioned yet, Kenny Stabler.
Yes.
It goes into the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
of course, Kenny Stabler passed last year.
The Snake.
And it's a shame. And we actually referred to Bill McDonald was down here finishing up the last show, and we had referred to Ron Santo.
Ron Santo. My wife and I talked about this last night.
And how out of all of the great speeches and everything that you get to hear during the Hall of Fame game and Hall of Fame weekend, how sad is it that we are not going to be able to hear the great Kenny Stabler go up there and accept this honor, and an honor that is well overdue, in my opinion. And he won't be able to accept this honor. He's going to have to, his wife or his children are going to have to accept it on his behalf. It's just terrible. It's horrible.
And I agree. I mean, we talked about Ron Santo and how many years he was deserving to be in there, and to finally be elected the year directly after he passed.
Right.
It's a shame. It's a shame that some of these things come down to grudges, that people hold.
Sure.
And I said, well, we're not going to do that for you until you die, and then you're going to get it, so you will not have a chance to enjoy it.
Right.
And that's, I mean, to me, it's a travesty. And
it's horrible.
Yes, and Kenny Stabler, he was one that when you thought of the silver and black, I mean, that's who you saw. I mean, that,
Right.
leading him down, the old lefty that goes to the post, everything that he did, for those great Raider teams back in the 70s. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was just horrible when I had heard that. I was like, wow, really?
Well, I was glad that he got in, but, the timing is just, it's despicable.
Yeah, absolutely. So now it brings me to the other high
Awards?
I'm sorry, I was reading something. Totally distracted.
It's okay.
And
it's a
the
Sunday.
show just falls right down.
It's a Sunday. We're not used to this shit.
So yeah, right. So the other high value snub.
Where the hell's the beer at, by the way?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a Sunday afternoon.
It's Sunday.
It's Super Bowl.
It's Sunday in Indiana, though. We can't buy beer.
I figured Bill would have him down here.
Yeah, go figure.
I know.
Anyhow, the other high end
leaves
snub.
and look what happens.
The other high end snub, Terrell Owens.
Yes.
Immediately, my first thought, all the off-field antics,
yes,
all the showboating, I think that really hurt his coming into the Hall of Fame under his first year of eligibility. Now, that leads to a question of, we had said just a little bit ago, Cam Newton, everything that he does. And now I'm moving way ahead of myself here.
Right.
But let me throw this out here and play a little devil's advocate. If Cam Newton ends his career like his career is right now, at a very high level and expected to be a Hall of Famer, do all of the on-field antics, the dabbing, the everything else that people, the purists, do not like, does it hurt his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame right away?
And I think it's going to depend upon how he finishes his career. T.O. finished his career by still, being very, very brash, by doing the off-field antics, by even after retiring, I'll come back and I'll do this, and really, irritating a lot of people.
Right.
Now, the first thing for Cam Newton is Cam Newton has got to get off the good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, type of.
Sure. Well, like I said, that was a total devil's advocate thing.
But as long,
right now I can't
I'd say as long as he keeps his career going as it is, I think he will be a Hall of Famer. Now, will he be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
That's the question.
I don't know. I think it does.
But do you think the antics would hurt that at all?
To a certain extent, yes. I do. And that's, I was a little worried about, Brett Favre for a little bit because of the antics that he had. The issues that he had at the Jets with his, alleged, sexting and the I'm going to retire every year for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
But, and is he coming back? Is he not? But the thing is that the difference is that T.O. was much more vocal about it on the field. Pulling the pen out to sign the ball and the popcorn and the whole showmanship that he did.
Right.
Was it part of the game? Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it was entertaining. And he is the reason behind why he's one of the reasons why you have the rules right now for excessive showboating after a touchdown. He's one of the reasons.
Yep.
And does this play on being as long as you still have writers, with votes, it's going to make a difference. Now, how Cam Newton is perceived in the future, does he continue to do what he does? The one thing he does that I have no problem with is giving the ball to a youngster in the front row whenever he scores a touchdown. I have no problem with that. I like that.
I love that.
I do too. I like that. I like that he is very involved in the community. I like that he goes out and does that.
Right.
My biggest thing is, Cam, talk about your team a little bit more. Because without that offensive line in front of you, I'm sorry, but you're nothing. I mean, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Right.
And the thing is that talk about your team. Because it does take 11 players to make that team and to win. And I think that's the part that really just, it irks me about him. I will, his play, his play on the field, his toughness, that I will never argue about. because I've seen him take hits and have him pop right up and go back at it. He's just, I just think that, as long as he continues to do that, yes, he will. It's going to depend upon, what he does as far as, in my opinion, the self-promoting.
Well, hopefully he has a career that enables us to have a legitimate conversation about when and not if he will get into the Hall of Fame. I would really like to see it because, once again, like I said, all in all, I like the guy. So, hopefully that happens. Anyhow, we've got to hit a break. When we come back, NFL Honor Awards last night, one of the emotional speeches of the night, and we will play some of that for you and explain how big of a deal that award was, along with the NFL MVP, all coming up right on the other side of this. You're listening to the Super Bowl special, XERS Radio, and these are the Steve and Steve from the Cheap Seats coming right back right after this.
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Life is meant to be savored. If you find the reason, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana will make it special. From the casual European atmosphere to the high-end tavern fare, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern give you the chance to savor every day. Stop in and savor your day with your choice of a wide variety of drinks, from a classic martini to the best beers from local breweries. Savor your day on the patio, or come in and enjoy a glass of wine with some of our mouth-watering entrees. We're located in the historic Cam Brewery Stable Building in the 100 Center in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Call 574-807-0101 for reservations. Like us on Facebook to find out today's food and drink specials, or stop by our website at morgansandlbd.com. Drink in the moments, feast on the memories, savor every day at Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern.
This is Mel Williams from the Michiana Scene and members only, and I listen to XERS Radio. Yeah!
And we are back, the XERS Super Bowl special, right here on the Cheap Seats, getting you ready until 2 o'clock. We're going to get you ready for the biggest game of the year, and that is of course, the NFL Super Bowl 50, the Golden Super Bowl. A lot of stuff goes on during Super Bowl week. Obviously, you have NFL Media Day. You have all kinds of festivities and whatnot. Even the kids get on it with Nickelodeon and all that good stuff. And then Saturday night, you have the NFL awards. And I think one of the best awards every year, aside from like the Man of the Year maybe, is the Comeback Player of the Year, because it really tells a story of a great player who has either suffered a major setback or something of that effect, and comes back not only to play, but play at a very high level. A lot of people don't know the story behind Eric Berry unless you are a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but Eric Berry last year left halfway through the season, missed half the season, as he had been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. It shook the entire Kansas City fan base and obviously the NFL fan base as well. There were a lot of people who thought that they had seen Eric Berry play his last game, but he took to treatment of cancer about as seriously as what he could possibly take it, and took it just as with the same mindset as he takes as getting ready for a game. And not only was he capable of beating Hodgkin's lymphoma, he went on to have not just a successful comeback this year, but a dominating comeback as part of one of the best defenses statistically in the NFL this year. And last night gave probably one of the best comeback player of the year speeches that I've heard in my history of paying any attention to any of this stuff. And I've actually got a part of that speech, or most of the speech is only a couple of minutes long, so I'm going to let you have at it here. But this is Eric Berry accepting the NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and the little girl that actually gave him the award, Leah Still, she actually survived cancer. She's coming back from cancer right now too, and it was beautiful. So anyhow, here's Eric Berry on coming back and beating cancer to play in the NFL.
But I just want to thank God, because it was some tough times. It was some times where I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. In times of uncertainty, I just leaned on him. And then he put my family in place. They supported me so much. My mom, my dad. It was a lot of rough times, a lot of rough nights, and a lot of lonely nights. But, man, my mom was right there. And I love you to death. I know you're out here watching, Mom. I love you. I love you, Pops. I love you. I love you. I love you. When I lost my hair, Pops was right there. He shaved his head with me just so I wouldn't be by myself. And I love you to death for that. My Uncle Nard, when I first started training, man, he was right there with me throughout all my meals. When I couldn't eat, when I was throwing up, everybody was there to rub my back, man. I'm sorry if I'm taking some time, man, but this is I knew I'd be here, but I feel like I'm dreaming right now. But I love y'all all, man. My homies, Savion, Jason, I love y'all, bro. Y'all was rocking with me. Y'all never doubted me. Justin Houston, you never doubted me. From the first time when I knew I was diagnosed, you came on my couch and told me, bro, you're going to beat it from day one. I just want the first copy of the book. I respect you for that, man. Coach Reed, thank you for telling me to fear nothing, attack everything. Coach Pagano, thank you for your support throughout the whole ordeal. Man, Tony Villani, Coach Lou, Coach Rod, all y'all for pushing me, man. Inky Johnson, big bro, thank you for showing me that miracles do happen. And I just love everybody. Nurse Stephanie, I appreciate it, man. End of the day, everybody just live out your dreams, man. Don't let anything come in between it. If you're unsure about anything, man, get on your knees and pray and just take it from there, man. I love y'all all. Thank you.
Of course, that was very emotional speech.
Yes.
It was speech of the night for me, just because, and he didn't really, go into a big, this wasn't a big, like Jim Valvano type of beat cancer speech or anything. This was truly somebody who was grateful for just being able to get back to a normal life, and
get back to doing what he knew how to do.
Right. And
do what he loved.
And to just kind of let everybody know that you don't need to be scared. You don't need to be afraid when you hear the C word come out, because it can be beaten. Now, cancer obviously is a huge deal for me. My wife is a cancer survivor. I just lost my father last year to lung cancer. It is an enormous deal to me. So when I saw this, and I saw he as the comeback player of the year, it touched me. It really did, because you could have made an argument for a few other guys, but for the NFL to look at this, and he was overwhelmingly, I think it was like 94.
I don't think there was anything close to
he did. I think it was like 94% vote. I mean, there's 6% of people that thought it wasn't good enough, and that's amazing that even that many, but still, it was crazy. So it was a very emotional night, great night. Congratulations to Eric Berry, comeback player of the year. There are a few other major awards last night. A couple other big awards got handed out. Obviously, the MVP.
Yep.
We're going to
watch them tonight.
Going to watch the MVP tonight. Cam Newton wins the MVP. I don't think there was a whole lot of argument.
No,
there, and I don't think there's a lot of surprise there either.
No, not at all. I mean, with the year that Cam had, put the S on his chest that he always tried to do, and it was a Superman year. I mean, for what he did as far as leading that team to a 15-1 regular season record, to do it as they did in convincing, fashion. I mean, they really didn't have a close game except for the one they lost. They had a couple that, their defense tried to give away towards the end.
Right.
But overall, I mean, what that offense did and how they conducted themselves on the field, it was just an amazing, amazing year. And he's the one that spearheaded. I mean, as many times as they needed a clutch run or they needed a clutch pass, or they just needed something, he was the one that provided it. So right. I mean, that's to me this year it was a no-brainer. It really was. I mean, yes, there are some other guys you can sit there and look at, but when it comes right down to it, for the year that he had, what his team did. You take a look at this team. That team would not have accomplished what they did without him at the helm.
Right. And a few other honors that we would like to get to. I would definitely like to get to the NFL Man of the Year award, Anquan Boldin.
Yes.
The NFL Man of the Year. That, of course, is an award given to the player, coach, or supporting member in the NFL who has done more for his community and just overall helped, in any endeavor
right.
outside of the field. He, of course, received it for all of his charity work, all of his work with youths in the San Francisco area. And I really thought this is one of those awards that you could give it to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
There are really a lot of, for all of the bad that you hear in the NFL. And of course, the media, of course, is going to hype up all of the bad stories, the Ray Rices of the world, the Adrian Peterson,
and now the Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel's, things like that. But then you get to an award like this, and you get to what Anquan has done in the community there in the Bay Area. And you just think there are a few rays of light.
But
and you should take the time every once in a while and focus on these. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if each team got a Man of the Year award. Make it 32 awards.
I think each team should have their own. But is this more of a media thing, or is this in my opinion, this is an NFL thing? The NFL has the opportunity to promote this. They have the opportunity to promote this week in and week out for this. I mean, take your weeks and highlight. You got 16 weeks. Sure. Highlight a couple players every single week as your Man of the Year. I mean, your Man of the Year candidates for each team. But they don't. They wait until the end of the year, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, hey, here's our Man of the Year for his charitable work. They haven't been doing it for 1 week. They've been doing it for a year. They've been doing it for longer than that. Right. And I think the NFL itself, I think they dropped the boat on this one because they have the opportunity. They have the biggest league. They have the most press in the league. They have the league that's watched the most. They don't push this enough. They allow these other issues to come out, and they're always defending themselves. Why not go on the aggressive and really push this?
If the NFL wants to make its image better, and I'm sure it does.
These are the guys they need to use.
Yeah, this is the way that they need to do it. They need to take these good stories, these big stories, and the stories of the shining stars, and put those in the forefront.
I agree, but I think the NFL has been on the defensive so much because of all the issues, because of the Ray Rices and the Petersons and the Manziels of the world, but also because of the concussion factor and all this other stuff that is going on. Even right now in the game today, I mean, we're still starting to hear more and more about these allegations against Peyton Manning and his wife for taking getting these drugs shipped to her.
Right.
The HGH and things like that.
Yeah, I personally, I'm not going to take that seriously until the NFL comes out and says, I we have seen something that
well, I
makes
mean,
us wanna push
right
it
now the
further.
NFL is investigating against. So I mean,
Well, I think it's only because they have to.
well, yeah, they do. And it's a shame that instead of being on the defensive all the time, like I said, it's time for them to go on the offensive. It's time for them to trump their own horn in some of these things.
Right.
What are some of the things that they're doing? I mean, the kids play 60. I mean, why haven't they pushed that even more than they have? They've pushed it a little bit during games, but why not push it even more? Why not push the charitable work that these guys do? I mean, that's to me that's a no-brainer. Push the Eric Berrys of the world. The people that are doing things that are coming back and defying the odds. The bright spots of the world.
Yeah, I mean there's an opportunity for the NFL to really present itself in a bright and shining light, and they do need to pursue that. They really do. A few other noted awards won. J.J. Watt,
Defensive
Player of the Year. Jameis Winston, Rookie of the Year. I liked that. Yeah. I really did like that. I thought that was a very good, very good pick.
The only one I would say that I would have gone either would have been Todd Gurley. Because
Todd Gurley actually did win. He won the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think that again we talk about Eric Berry's comeback. You got to remember Todd Gurley came back from a torn up knee his senior year or his last year in college to come back and actually play and gain over 1,000 yards.
Right.
To me, I probably would have pushed more towards Gurley over Jameis Winston.
Then Offensive Rookie of the Year, like I said, Todd Gurley. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Marcus Peters. Big win there,
Yes.
84% of the vote.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that there was too much doubt there. Assistant Coach of the Year, Wade Phillips, Denver Broncos. Yep. Got that defense going. They are the number one defense in the league. A lot of people forget that. Let's see here.
The Coach of the Year was Ron Rivera.
Yeah, Ron Rivera, Coach of the Year. So we got a couple of award winners in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, all of the 2016 Hall of Fame class was announced last night. We already told you about Brett Favre, Kevin Green, Marvin Harrison, Orlando Pace, Tony Dungy, Ken Stabler, Dick Stanfill was also there, and Eddie DeBartolo made it as an owner. So both all of the 2016 class of Hall of Fame was announced last night. And, of course, they will be trotted out. Those who could attend and would be there would be trotted out today.
As we said, there'll be the difference between the Hall of Fame people entering in. We were talking a little bit before the show. We said, we were talking about baseball and football. I said, the baseball players, they come walking right in and they jump up there. And then you see the football players come out. They got their walkers and their canes and everything else.
Yeah. You can definitely tell.
Just because of the abuse they put up through their career.
Yeah, you can tell how big of a difference physically that is. There were a few other things that I wanted to get to about the Hall of Fame, and I just totally spaced it out now. So I guess we're just going to move on.
That's okay. I'm following your lead, young man.
Bridgestone Performance of the Year went to your Aaron Rodgers, that Hail Mary versus the Lions.
And here's the thing. I looked at that. I said, well, did that Hail Mary beat the Hail Mary against Arizona in the playoffs?
I don't know if they can count the playoffs when they're doing these votes.
But I tell you, I mean, if I looked at Play of the Year, that Hail Mary against Arizona, especially, I mean, even that drive.
Right.
You had the big fourth down and 20, and they got the 42 yards on the one.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you throw a Hail Mary for a touchdown to tie the game to send it into overtime.
Right.
But the winner against Detroit, and I watched that play a couple more times today on Facebook. They watched the play. The distance and the height that he threw that ball.
Oh, that was a moon shot.
Unbelievable. They said
that'd have been a home run in any baseball park.
They said that thing nearly nearly went up and touched the roof.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. In Ford Field, it was
that is
it was that high.
That is, I mean, anything higher than that, you want to at least call for a fair
Well, I
catch.
mean, if you figure, the punts don't even go as high as he threw that ball.
No, absolutely not.
Hang time. They should have done hang time.
One other award that, and it's actually not even really because, well, I also did want to mention the Art Rooney Award given to Charles Woodson, of course, retiring this year, played his last game.
Another future Hall of Famer.
Yes, absolutely. But the High School Coach of the Year given to Don Shula, of course the lineage of the great head coach Don Shula. Saw them last night. They were talking about Don Shula. Boy, you can tell that time is creeping up on him. They had him in a wheelchair, and he looked.
Well, you got to remember. I mean, when did he win his first Super Bowl? 71?
72.
72?
Yeah,
72.
And
that was the undefeated team, wasn't it?
Yeah, the only team to ever go completely undefeated. So to see him, I was like, boy, he's
that's 44 years ago.
Yeah, he was definitely rough. You could tell though he was so proud.
Oh yeah,
he was so proud. He kept mentioning how he kept mentioning about how his son is one of the coordinators playing in the Super Bowl, and he was talking to him. And of course, his son Mike Shula is the coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, and he's talking to him on the phone, and he kept mentioning it to the people that were interviewing him. He mentioned it over and over. It reminded me of like an old great grandfather who was sitting there showing you pictures of his great grandkids, and he's talking about each and every one of them, whether you like it or not. He's talking about each and every one of them.
And here's Michael when he was like 12, and here's Michael now at 16.
I mean, God, you gotta love him. Don Shula was he's such an entertaining guy. He was, and even in his withered state that he's in now, he's still
go back to some of those coaches. Don Shula, Hank Stram. I still remember, the video of Hank Stram during the Super Bowl when they had him mic'd up. Oh, here we go, boys. Yeah, hey, ho! He had that high-pitched voice. And,
oh, yeah.
And, you just listen to these guys.
Hank Stram just sounded more like a car salesman than a coach. I mean, he wasn't, you had all these coaches that they're gritty and grizzly and everything else.
Then he had Tom Landry mic'd up. Sound like this.
Yeah, that's vintage Tom Landry right there. Yeah, mic up Tom Landry. Boy, that's a lot of wasted tape right there.
Yeah.
It's great radio.
Yeah, no, you just sit there.
Yeah.
I got my hat looking good though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely had the fedora looking good.
I tell you, he was one of the sharpest looking dudes on the sideline, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Always.
So now one of the things that a lot of people look at and they pay attention to during the Super Bowl is obviously the commercials.
Yes.
And we've heard a few, a few of the commercials they've kind of snuck out, and we know what's happening and what's going on. I have always been partial to the funny commercials, the funniest of the funny commercials. But I found out the commercial, the number one commercial so far in Super Bowl history, and this is as voted on NFL.com or whatever. The number one commercial is the Budweiser Clydesdale, where the guy raises the Clydesdale from a foal and he goes to the parade and the Clydesdale's out there and it runs in the street and meets up with him.
See, and to me...
That beat out the Volkswagen commercial with the kid in the Darth Vader costume that was trying to use the Force on everything.
See, and I still go back to the Mean Joe Green Coke commercial.
That was up there. That was like number 10 or 9 or something.
That is one where... I think that's when the commercials started to become, the thing. I mean, I avoid, the last couple of years they started leaking the commercials out early.
Right.
I avoid, when they go, hey, we're going to show you this commercial, I try to avoid it because I want to see them in the Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, that to me is part of it. The game starts at 6:30 tonight?
Yeah.
I will be planted on my couch. That's why when I leave here. I'm sorry, I'm not sticking around to talk. I'm leaving to go home and get the grill going.
Oh, I totally get it.
By 5 o'clock, I will be planted in my chair, And the only times I will be getting up is to go get food or go get another beverage. And I will not go during the commercials.
I don't blame you.
I will go in between plays. I will go between reviews. I'll go between something like that.
Right.
Or I'll go through the halftime show because I'm really not interested in this halftime show.
Right. Oh, Coldplay?
Not really.
Not a big fan, huh?
You know, to me, the last couple of years, I mean, the most disappointing thing is they've been the halftime shows. I mean, as many artists as they have out there that they can get, all you could get this year was Coldplay, really? I mean, that's your Super Bowl act. I mean, name me 5 Coldplay songs.
Oh yeah, good luck.
Can you name me one?
No, okay. I'm not personally. I'm not a Coldplay guy.
It's bad. You know it's a bad choice when they have to bring on someone to go with them. Oh yeah, it's Coldplay with special appearance by Beyonce. Oh yeah, because Beyonce did it a couple years ago, so Coldplay really sucks. So let's bring Beyonce in there for a little bit so maybe we can get some people to watch again. I mean, seriously, with all the different acts that are out there, you're going to go with Coldplay. I mean, come on. You know, bring me back the Rolling Stones. Let me watch the Cadavers walk up there and play a little bit. I mean, I want to see that.
Right.
You know, but no, the commercials, I will look forward to it. I love the funny ones. It's always nice to see what Doritos is going to come up with because they always have some good ones.
Doritos does. Yes. They do have some really funny commercials.
They always do. I watched the one last year where they had the little kid making fun of the grandma and the baby, and she slingshots the baby over there, grabs the Doritos out of his hands, and or the little dog where the guy's standing behind the glass door, the glass patio door, making fun of the dog out there with the Doritos, and the little dog comes running at him and goes right through the glass door and takes the Doritos away from the guy. Those are good ones.
Yeah, those are always funny.
You know, the laundromat Doritos commercial. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And actually, another thing a lot of people pay attention to during the Super Bowl, and we're actually going to talk about it right on the other side of this break. Prop bets. This is the most bet on event in Las Vegas every year. I mean, that's very obvious.
Oh, and we can talk about some of the bets that are out there.
But what's really funny is that the game itself is not bet on nearly as much as all the fantastic prop bets. And we've got the most obscure prop bets from the coin toss to how long the national anthem is going to be sung.
I was going to say, there's a bunch of them out there.
But I'm going to give you the top 10 just on the other side of this, plus our predictions and analysis of the game coming up just on the other side of this. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
It's Maximus and the bartender. Now all of a sudden, after LeBron goes home, they couldn't wait, Big Daddy. Now Kevin Durant going back to Washington, D.C.?
Wait a minute. Durant to D.C.? I don't see that happening. Ever.
Marion Barry got reelected, remember?
Kevin Durant is not going to D.C. He's not being traded. He's not going to force a trade.
Remember,
he's happy in Oklahoma City with Westbrook.
It's D.C. where the cost of living is going up and the chance of living is going down.
Tune in every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern at XERSradio.com.
Hey guys, it's the bartender for Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Football season's upon us, and there's no better place to catch the game than Rock Sports Bar and Grill. Along with the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats to all the games on our big screens, Rock's has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose. It's 2 half-pound patties served with bacon, cheddar cheese, piled high with french fries. Make sure you got your cardiologist on speed dial for this one. Find us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great for your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered in between game days too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And during football season, tailgate Thursdays featuring dollar dogs, tacos, and fries. And every weekend, Rock features great acoustic music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill. Located in the Yorktown Center Building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Hey ladies, tired of the same old story? Getting promised all this big meat only to find out it's just the same old average helping? You need someone that can satisfy all your cravings.
You know what she needs? She needs some Scoobies.
Scoobies, oh yeah.
Scoobies at 223 North Main Street in downtown Mishawaka can satisfy all your cravings with freshly made subs, pasta, sandwiches, and even homemade cheesecake.
Cheesecake too? I think I'm in love.
And you'll be in love with the great menu that Scoobies has to offer with specialties like their very own chicken, bacon, and ranch sub. And right now, for the summertime, Michiana's best tasting Chicago dog featuring a quarter-pound all-beef hot dog.
That's more than a mouthful.
And if you need something to wash down all that meat, mention you heard this advertisement on XERS Radio and get a free drink with any purchase.
Ladies, you won't be disappointed with this 7-inch.
That's Scoobies, downtown Mishawaka, home of the biggest 7-inch around.
And we are back, the XERS Super Bowl special. We are the Cheap Seats. Steve Willis, Steve Detterman, riding here with you. 1 hour to go, getting you ready for the game. One of the great things about the Super Bowl is it brings out the goofiness in a lot of things. The commercials are funny. A lot of the late night talk show hosts will have antics. Even Saturday Night Live usually does a thing about the Super Bowl. And one of the other things is the goofiness in Las Vegas. And I always find this hilarious. And the goofiness, by what I mean, is the prop bets. Prop bets are great, man. I mean, we're talking about some of the most odd bets. And I have found a list of some of the oddest prop bets you're ever going to see. And I'm going to give you the top 10 too, so you can just hear these out. But real quick, here's the top 10 prop bets for the Super Bowl this year. Number 10 is, how many times will John Fox be said during the broadcast? That's an over-under of one.
Over-under one time?
Over-under of one time. And 75% of people are taking the over.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
How many times will Archie Manning be shown on TV during the broadcast? The over-under is 1.5.
I would say Archie's going to be shown at least 3 times.
That's actually 50-50 right now in the country.
I say 3 times.
Length of the national anthem. This is a very popular prop bet. This one happens a lot. Over under 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Who's singing it this year?
Don't know.
I will say, I'm going to say over.
You're actually 45% says over. Under is 55%.
Okay.
Coin toss, heads or tails?
Heads.
This is 60-40. 60% says heads.
Okay.
Longest field goal, over, under 44.5 yards.
I think we're going to have an over. I think we're going to have one over 40-40 this
70% of the world agrees with you.
With the defenses this year, yes, we'll be over that.
Corey Brown, total receiving yards, 39.5 over under. Corey Brown.
39.5 yards or over?
Corey Brown, total receiving yards, 30.
Which team is he on?
That's the funniest part of that.
Do you know?
That is the greatest part of that. I have no idea. I think he's a Carolina Panther. Yeah.
I'm
90%.
I'm gonna say under.
90% says over.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Luke Kuechly, total tackles and assists. So you got to add them together. Over under 8.5.
Oh, he'll be over that.
Yeah, 90% say over.
He'll be over that.
Peyton Manning, total touchdown passes, over under 1.5. Over under 1.5. So
if he's 1 or 2, so they're saying that he's not going to get 2. I'm going to say over. I think he's going to get 2.
75% of the world says under.
Yeah.
Cam Newton rushing yards, over under 40.5.
Over.
80% of the world says over.
Over.
C.J. Anderson. I'm sorry. Hang on, I read that wrong. Super Bowl 50, odds to win MVP.
Okay.
Odds to win MVP. Cam Newton, Peyton Manning, Von Miller, Luke Kuechly, Ted Ginn Jr., C.J. Anderson.
I think they left someone very important off there, and that's Greg Olsen.
They didn't put Greg Olsen on there.
Out of those, who would I pick?
I mean, Greg Olson's not on this list. You could select anybody.
I would think Greg Olson myself, but on that list, if I had to pick one, I think it's going to be. This is Cam Newton's year. I would say Cam Newton.
Cam Newton gets 20%.
Even if Luke Kuechly has a tremendous game, Cam Newton will get the vote.
20% of the vote to Cam Newton. So while some of those were pretty typical prop bets. I mean, you see him in a lot of prop bets. Here's a few that are a little more odd.
Okay.
How many times will the Golden Gate Bridge be shown during the broadcast? Over under of a half a time.
It'll be showed over.
Oh, I'm certain.
Yeah, I mean, because they're going to show it leading in because they'll show San Francisco itself. And how are you going to show San Francisco without showing the Golden Gate Bridge?
Right. Now, this one's football related. Will either backup quarterback take a snap? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think Osweiler will take a snap.
Yeah, it's actually if you say no, you're actually getting a better payoff.
Oh, I bet you are.
So, here's a really odd one.
Okay.
Will there be an earthquake during the game? Will there be an earthquake during the game? Now, mind you, we are in San Francisco.
Now, here's the question. Are we talking an earthquake there or just an earthquake? See that's one you could bet. And also, they have an earthquake in Peru, and you go, hey, there was an earthquake during the game.
I'm pretty sure it has to be there or close to there, enough to where
it's going to cause an issue. With
enough to where Santa Clara is affected.
I don't think so.
Will the announcers mention that Kubiak was Elway's backup?
Yes, several times.
I believe so.
They'll have that in pregame.
Here's one that actually crosses over to another sport. Which will be higher, total touchdowns in the game or shots on goal by Alexander Ovechkin?
Who are the Capitals playing?
I don't know who the Capitals are playing that night.
I'll get you that real quick.
However, let's see here. The game on Sunday is the second game in as many days.
The Capitals are playing the Flyers, and they're playing right now. And already Ovechkin has – you can't do this anymore. Ovechkin has no shots on goal. So what was the thing? Who gets more –
total touchdowns in the game or shots on goal by Ovechkin?
Okay, Ovechkin has no shots on goal. They're through once. They have 2 more periods left.
Right.
I'll go with the touchdowns now.
I would definitely do that. Here's one commercially. Wings sold by Buffalo Wild Wings on Super Bowl Sunday. Wings sold by Buffalo Wild Wings on Super Bowl Sunday. Over-under is set at 12 million.
I'm going to say over.
I would probably say over as well. And then here's another football-related one.
Okay.
Will Ted Ginn Jr. drop a pass?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that'll happen.
He'll drop a punt or something.
Fairly obscure list there. Some of the earthquake one is really. That's obscure. Man.
We had the one with the World Series. I remember.
Yeah. That's. I mean, obviously that that is a big deal out there. Earthquakes do happen out there quite often. But
here's the question I have for you: do you have any bets right now on the Super Bowl?
I do not. I have no bets on the Super Bowl. I prefer not to bet on the Super Bowl just because I don't want to have a rooting interest just because of my job. I analyze the game. I want to have an unbiased analysis. I
usually get one of those squares games.
Right.
And the person that does the square game, left the store that I'm in. So I don't get to see it anymore. So I didn't see. I mean, every Notre Dame game we used to get the squares.
Oh, no.
And every Super Bowl.
So wait, you bought into this? You have no idea if you're going to win or not?
I didn't even get to buy in this year.
Oh,
Because she left the store.
Oh, gotcha.
So, I mean, never came by to get on the square board.
Oh, that's
so
unfortunate.
I'm like going, okay, so I'm not on the square board, and does it make a difference to me? No, because, I'll look at my numbers, like after the game.
Right.
I just get on because it's fun to get on.
Oh, sure.
But no, I have nothing.
What's the biggest board you've played on? How many dollars a square?
$10 a square.
$10 a square.
So it was $1,000 total pot.
So I'd pay out $250
It was $250 each one.
Right.
Yep. And I won one.
The big nice.
I know it was. It was beautiful.
That's nice. Yeah,
it was
a good thing.
I won one in the board of the Super Bowl when I was in last year.
I saw one going around one year. It was $25 a square.
Oh my God!
$25 a square.
$2,500.
$2,500 split 4 ways. Yeah.
You win one of those. That's like
that's a fair amount of money, brother.
That's a house payment almost.
That's a fair amount of money, my man. That's that's a lot of money. So yeah, I was.
Daddy's going to buy a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, $625 for one quarter. At $25 a square, I would take it. I would definitely. I'd throw $25 out.
Can you imagine, especially if it's a defensive struggle type of game?
Yeah, you end up with like 0-3, and it stays that way through half the game,
or you have 0-0. It's 10-0 or something like that, or
10-10 or whatever. And stays that way throughout the game.
God.
Oh yeah, you walk away with the whole damn thing. I got to be honest. I'd have to have a bodyguard help me come pick up that money. That's not even.
They come walking up to you swearing.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. They just hand you the entire envelope. Be like, choke on it.
They throw it on the ground in front of you. They don't even want to get close to you.
Oh man. And when I think of these prop bets and stuff like this, I also think of obviously long shot bets and whatnot. And it always harkens me back to one of my favorite Super Bowl stories about betting. There was a gentleman who was a St. Louis Rams fan, diehard St. Louis Rams fan. Every year he put $100 on the St. Louis Rams to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. 1998, the 1999 season starts. He plays his slip, puts $100 on the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Now, mind you, 1998, they were the worst team in the NFL, number 1 pick in the draft. The very next year, they win the Super Bowl.
And the thing is their starting quarterback went down last game of the preseason, too.
Yeah, Trent Green, starting quarterback, goes down.
With a knee injury, down for the year.
Yep. A young man who was sacking groceries shortly before that by the name of Kurt Warner comes in, takes them to the Super Bowl. This guy wins his bet. 200-1 odds on a $100 bet. Guy wins like $25 or $20 or $30,000, some craziness like that, just for playing that bet. I got to be perfectly honest, man. It made me laugh. I just sat back and I laughed, and I was like, this guy probably feels like the most genius person in the entire world. And I'm sure when he walked in with that ticket and he laid it down, everybody that saw that ticket looked at that and looked at him and was like, I cannot believe.
Why do you do this? You just throw away $100.
Seriously?
Yep. Now, see, I lived out in Vegas way back in the early 90s, and I was out there during a Super Bowl. And you talk about the craziness, that just leads up to it. We weren't one that would go to the casinos or anything else. My wife is not a gambler. I'm not a real big gambler or anything like that. But we would go out every now and then, and I can remember going there. In mid to late January, we'd go out and have dinner or something like that, and just the amount of people around the sports betting, unbelievable. And the craziness, I'm running a store, you have people come in, and it's nuts. It really is. So, you talk about the crazy, it is just unbelievable. And the way that it's gone now, I mean, what did I say? I looked up $4.2 billion has been bet on the Super Bowl this year.
That is a ridiculous amount of money.
$4.2 billion. Like I said, that's 3 times the Powerball winning.
Man.
Can you imagine win the Powerball and then you go and bet all of it on the Super Bowl? on a prop bet.
On a prop.
There you
Heads
go.
or tails.
Yeah.
That'd be the one coin toss that you pay attention to your entire life. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would not be I don't know. I don't think I could do it, man. I don't think I'm bad at betting anyway. I'm bad at guessing, especially, A or B.
See, in my betting is, I have figured out how much I can lose. And whenever I go to I've gone to a dog track or I've gone to a casino or anything like that, and I don't go often, but when I do go, I go, okay, I am willing to lose $50. And once it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
And, the thing is I'm not like my wife. My wife is like, we were, when we lived in Vegas, we'd go down and, we would each get a $2 roll of nickels. We just play the nickel slots.
Sure.
I'd lose mine in about 15 minutes. She'd be sitting there playing and she's winning, and she goes, "Damn it, I want to lose." And she keep winning and winning, and finally she'll say, "Here, you play this because you'll lose."
Here you go, poison finger. Start playing.
But I mean, and the thing is to know what your limitations are when you go, and that's what a lot of people don't do.
Right.
Me, it's like, to me, it's more of a, I am willing to lose this much, and as soon as I do, that's okay. And I got to my later years, it was like, okay, when you used to be able to get free drinks at the casinos.
Yeah.
I'd go buy the quarter slots, and I'd hang on to a quarter, and I'd see the lady coming by with the drinks. I'd put one in and pull it and kind of wave at her. They'd come, you get the free drink, and you'd be sitting there waiting for them. You wouldn't be paying any money, by the time. As soon as you saw them coming, you put another quarter in and pull it, and then while it's going, you get your drink, and you start drinking, and you just sit there and drink all day for like maybe $2.
What a scam. That's brilliant.
I know it is.
I love it. Love that idea.
You just watch people.
I got to take you to Vegas.
That's the best way.
So obviously there are a lot of odds for the game and stuff like that too. The biggest bet obviously is the game itself.
Yes.
And do you know what the latest line is on that game?
I don't have the latest line. I know that I know that,
I don't have up to the minute.
I'll look that up, but I know that the Carolina was a heavily favorite.
Yeah, Carolina was like a 10-point favorite last time I had looked.
Let me see here.
But when you look at a line like that, and you think, okay, these guys know what they're doing. They don't put these big tall buildings up in Vegas on their own money. They do it on other people's money. Okay. And if they like Carolina that much, what does that tell you as far as what you think the outcome of this game should be? If you go by what Vegas says.
Right now, the favorite right now is 5.5 points, Carolina.
Now, see, it's gone way down from what the initial line was.
Yeah.
The initial line was like 10, 11, or 10.5.
Yeah, it's 5.5, and there are some places that are moving between 4 and 5.
Do you think that's a fair line on this game? Do you think it's fair? I mean, without getting it, because we're going to get into
5.5.
We're going to break down the game here in a little bit, but I mean,
I think 5.5 is fair. I think it's a little light. Overall, in my opinion, but 5.5 is fair. I mean, I think 5.5 will get you some bets.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think
it's geared towards Carolina, though.
Right. Obviously, if the opening line was 10 and it's dropped down to 5.5, there was a whole lot of action on the Broncos side of the whole thing,
right?
And which would have spurred them to move that line down a lot. And I agree with that. Personally, I think a 10-point line, anything over a touchdown, I think it's too much for a Super Bowl.
Well,
unless there is no reason why you would say the AFC and the NFC champions going together, going at it, that would be that lopsided of a game.
Well, and the thing is Vegas also plays. They play the teams. You got to remember. Carolina, this is not Denver's, and I'll take Peyton's word for it. This is not Denver's first rodeo at the Super Bowl. They've been there before. They've been there recently. They've won it.
Right.
Carolina, this is their second time to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
You don't think that Vegas is playing upon that if they come in with a 5.5 point favorite, right off the bat, that they're not going to get any action from Denver fans at all. By putting it at 10, now they've spurred the Denver faithful to start placing some bets. Now when it drops down to 5.5 or so, now you've got the Carolina Panthers, the newbies in there, and all their people that are so hungry for a Super Bowl winner. It's a way in which they can spur the action themselves and get more money on both sides of the table.
Right. Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, for Vegas, it's all about drawing in the bets. But
they don't care who wins. They just care what the score is and how they can get the most bets on either side to hedge them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really liked the idea that it's gone way down. Another way of picking up the final score of the game and giving you an idea as to who's going to win Super Bowl 50 without playing it is by letting a computer play it. And this has been done ever since.
It's been for a while.
I think, it's been going on for a while. I want to say like 97, 98.
Or you can have the puppies pick it.
Yeah, that's true. But EA Sports has their own rendition of this, and they play the game every year, courtesy of their Madden NFL football game. And this was the breakdown and the highlights of the Super Bowl 50 played by Madden NFL. This is courtesy of EA Sports.
An entire season of work has come down to one last play. It's Super Bowl 50, Phil. They've trained all their lives to be in this position. It's going to live up to everything you ever dreamed about it being. Again on the return. Good kick return, and now the offense will try to take advantage. What a magnificent leader this offense has running the show. Newton to Olsen. Touchdown, Panthers. They are starting to dominate this offense. The Panthers look to increase their lead now as they get the football back. Newton got the talent, the charisma, the leadership. He has it all. Get high, baby, get up. And there is Peyton Manning, ready to get this next drive underway. Never too late. That's a touchdown. Von Miller gets to the quarterback. Talib stepping up and making another big play. Now they've been able to recover here, and they're right back within sniffing distance of the lead. Denver in for the score. Man, Jim, all they're thinking about is the job they got to do to be a Super Bowl champion.
Let's go. Here we go. Twins right, Zen. Gone right. 368. Why drag Flair on one-on-one? Ready?
An entire season of work, and it looks like Super Bowl 50 will come down to this play. Touchdown! What a huge play! The Carolina Panthers have won the Super Bowl. The Lombardi Trophy is heading to Charlotte, North Carolina.
And, of course, that is courtesy of EA Sports Madden NFL 16 on sale right now through the Xbox Live platform. If you're a gold member, you can get all EA Sports games on sale right now up to 60% off. So they have the Carolina Panthers winning 27-24 is what the final score was. Now, while we were listening to that, you had leaned over and asked me, what is their record?
What's their actual record?
Yeah, what's their record versus and so I was like, well, let's look that up. So while this was playing, we looked it up, and they've predicted this 12 years now. This will be the 13th year.
13th year.
So in the last 12 years they've predicted this. What is their record?
They have actually won. They've actually predicted 9 out of 12, including the exact score last year.
9 out of 12, and they got the score on the button last year. And the technology is getting better and better every year. So it's almost as if, it would be a very good. Now, do they have a win streak? Obviously, last year they got it right on the button.
It doesn't give me a win streak.
I didn't know if maybe the accuracy has gotten better as the years have gone on, or what.
They show a couple that they picked. Patriots Panthers back in 39 or whatever it was. They predicted New England to win 23-20. The actual score is 32-29, so there was a 3-point win. 39 Patriots Eagles. They picked New England to win 47-31. Patriots won 24-21. Super Bowl 40, Steelers Seahawks. They picked Pittsburgh to win that one. They did. They picked Indianapolis over the Bears. Patriots.
I think if you lived outside of Chicago, you picked Indianapolis over the Bears.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Steelers, Cardinals, they picked the Steelers to win 28-24. It was 27-23. They missed by 1 point each there.
Wow.
Yeah. The Saints versus Colts. Remember how the Colts were heavily favored?
Yeah.
They actually picked the Saints 35-31. Saints won 31-17. Yes.
Wow,
those are some of the wins that they had. But 9 out of 12 they have picked.
9 out of 12.
Yes.
So if you want to know who wins this game, go fire up Madden.
75% chance of them being right.
That's crazy.
Not
like
bad.
I said, they have predicted the Carolina Panthers to win this. A lot of people took Carolina originally, and then some people are backing off because Peyton Manning has supposedly had a few fantastic practices, and a lot of the reports are, it seems to be getting a lot of zip back on the ball. I'll be interested to see what the 2 weeks rest has done for Manning. Historically, it hasn't really helped much, but historically, he hasn't had 6 weeks off in the middle of the season.
I would say he had 6 weeks off in the middle of the season. It didn't do him any good. I mean, he didn't come back with any more zip after that 6 weeks off.
Yeah, this is very true.
Than he had prior going into it. So
right.
I don't know how these 2 weeks off, all of a sudden he found another 10 mile an hour on that fastball coming out of his right arm.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing it's going to help that much, but at the same time, if it's going to help anything, I think it's going to help the game plan.
Is more of that actuality or more of that just hype to try and keep Carolina guessing or generated by Vegas to get the odds keep going that way, get the betting to go?
Yeah, it's very true. There's a lot of questions as far as how the Broncos have played. I will tell you this though. The last time, like I had said, the last time they had played a team this dynamic, they didn't fare very well. You've got to, one of the things the Broncos have relied heavily on is their pass rush. And when you rush a quarterback like Cam Newton, the first thing you have to do is have somebody constantly keeping an eye on him to break out of the pocket and make plays with his legs, because it is almost like having two running backs in the backfield, one that can throw the ball and one that doesn't. So as soon as Cam drops back, you still have to respect the rush. Whether it be a designed running play, whether it be a bootleg, whether it be an option, whether it be just a play that breaks down and he gets out of the pocket and kills you with his legs, you have to respect the run game that Carolina gives you. And that being the case, that's going to slow down DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller on the edges.
Well, and you brought this up earlier, and I held on to this, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to start reading you some of these wins that Denver played. And I want you to tell me any quarterback, and I'll be honest with you, you say Alex Smith. I don't put Alex Smith anywhere near what Cam Newton can do on the ground.
Oh, I don't either. Okay. I don't either.
Here are the quarterbacks. He played New England. Tom Brady can't get out of his own shadow. Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's just a brute that sits back there and he can shrug you off.
Roethlisberger was hurt.
Yes, he was.
Very hurt.
That's true. San Diego, Phillip Rivers. He can't move. Cincinnati, this one they had,
A.J. McCarron.
Yes. Right. The Pittsburgh again. Oakland, Derek Carr. Derek Carr, good arm, can't throw, youngster. Phillip Rivers. Tom Brady again. Jay Cutler. Alex Smith. Now we go back to Indianapolis, and I don't think Luck was there.
Nope. No Andrew Luck.
Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. Now you have someone. This one, Packers were coming in 6-0 too. You do have someone that can get out of the pocket, but he doesn't have the receivers. Cleveland, who the hell knows who Cleveland's quarterback was at that time? Oakland again. Minnesota, Teddy Bridgewater. Now there you're finally running up against someone that can run, but not anywhere near the size, the strength, and the speed of Cam Newton.
Right.
Minnesota, Matthew Stafford. Kansas City again, and then Baltimore. They have not gone up against anyone even close to what Cam Newton can do at that level.
Right, and that was actually exactly my point.
I mean,
that was exactly my point, because Teddy Bridgewater Teddy Bridgewater and Alex Smith, the only two quarterbacks on that list that I would actually consider any kind of a threat to get out of the pocket.
Aaron Rodgers, I'd put
Aaron
Rodgers
Rodgers
another
too.
one.
Aaron Rodgers, I forgot about the Green Bay game.
I'd put those three.
All right, so you put those three as the only threats to come out of the pocket and hurt you with their legs, and they struggled with all three.
Yes.
They struggled from containing all three quarterbacks, and they also struggled with the run games on all three. They struggled, and not only just because you're talking Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, Charkandrick West, and Eddie Lacy. We're not talking just because you have four really good running backs that played in those games. If you have to watch the quarterback and respect that quarterback, it is a lot easier for the offensive line to seal off and create gaps for the running backs to get through. And Carolina has one hell of a running back.
Yes, they do. But they also, they really have two, but they have the guy that can actually throw. Newton he's a tight end out there in a quarterback, but has an arm.
Absolutely.
He has that arm.
Right.
And we can talk about the defenses, and I know we'll go into that a little bit more because I'd love to talk about Carolina's defense here. But just taking a look at this, what Denver's going up, yes, they have a strong defense. But when you take a look at their body of work, they have not played the dynamic that is Cam Newton this year.
Right.
They have not played someone where, if that defensive end gets caught out of position, he's on the inside there and he's going for 20 yards.
Right.
If they come down, that ball's out and someone else is gone. So it's just a whole different dynamic having Cam Newton back there and how he runs this offense, especially the run game. And when you have James Stewart there, you've got someone that can take that ball and go with it.
And I think when you look at one of the things that Denver has been capable of doing all year, which is get people off the field, when you have an intense pass rush like what they do, and you have defenders in the backfield, defensive backs that ball hawk, like what guys like Aqib Talib do, and you force them to stay on the field by extending drives, those guys get tired. Those pass rushes get just a little slower. Those ball hawks get just a little later, and then all of a sudden we are talking advantage offense later on in the game. When the one Achilles heel to a very intense defense is if you have to extend the drives, they wear out. They get tired. And there's no choice. It's exactly how you work. The harder you work, the faster you're going to get tired. That's exactly how it is. And the bend but don't break defenses tend to be able to handle those longer extended drives. Carolina, while they have a very good pass rush, they have more of a bend but don't break defensive philosophy. Guys like Luke Kuechly, who will let you make a play right in front of him, but you're not going any further than that. That's it. That's as far as you're going, and he's not going to give you a whole lot of room to make that play to begin with. Carolina is more groomed for extended drives. So if Denver does get on a more extended drive, you could see Carolina getting it down to the 40 to the 30-yard, their own 30-yard line, and pretty much ending it there. And saying, hey, you've thrown everything at us. We're going to stop you here at this point. We're going to let you kick a field goal, but that's it. Because we know we've got somebody on the other side that's going to take it right down and score a touchdown. So it is advantage at that point, advantage to Carolina. So anyhow, we've got to hit a break. When we come back on the other side of this, we're going to talk about the other offense taking the field and Peyton Manning and what they are going to do to try and keep pace with the Carolina Panthers offense and our official predictions as we wrap it up. You're listening to XERS's Super Bowl special with the cheap seats on XERS Radio.
Contact Kickstart Studios, audio recording services for all your recording needs. Songwriters, comedians, band demos, commercials. commercials, voiceovers, narration, sound effects, background music, give us a call, 574-274-8046. Kickstart Studios at Comcast.net or like us on Facebook at Kickstart Studios.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The dive bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star dive bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star dive bar on Facebook.
Hey, Linda here, host of MDG's All Access Pass. Do you like to rock? I know you do. How about some metal bands? Great, I have exactly what you're looking for. James Rowe from MDG Music Discussion Group and myself have teamed up to bring you local, regional, and national bands, news, reviews, and of course, shenanigans. Join us every Monday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, for MDG's All Access Pass, only on the X, xersradio.com.
And we are back, getting ready to wrap it up here. Predictions are coming up here in just a couple of minutes. So, we've been talking this entire time about Cam Newton and this incredible offense of theirs. And, of course, there's a pretty good offense on the other side of this thing. And that is controlled by somebody who is definitely going to be going into the Hall of Fame here very soon, and that is Peyton Manning, and that is the Denver Broncos offense. Now, of course, while they are nowhere near as dynamic as the Carolina offense, they're still very good, but they just haven't been good lately. Tell me why Denver hasn't seemed to be able to get any more than their average of 17 points per game.
And what it comes down to, Steve, it comes down to basically consistency. They have lacked it. I mean, they've been totally inconsistent in one area, and that is the quarterback play. If you take a look at the past teams that the Broncos have put out, the thing that always stands out is you had the great receivers. They had great, great playmakers. You had an Eric Decker. You had a Julius Thomas. You had Denarius Thomas. You had these guys that could just, they could kill you at any time, with a pass. And you had a prolific passer at that time, Peyton Manning. This is Peyton Manning of 3 years ago that threw for 55 touchdowns, something like that, 3-4 years ago?
Right.
I mean, this was a guy that was throwing the ball all over the place. He came back from after taking the year off from the neck injury and he lit it up. You take away Eric Decker, you take away Julius Thomas, you take away, the running back situation that he has. He doesn't have the same running backs anymore. It's more like a running back by committee. You take away these different offensive weapons, and then you add a couple of years on to Peyton Manning, and Peyton has taken a beating over the last couple of years. The offensive line hasn't been the same as it was, and you take away those receivers, And all of a sudden, he takes those hits. That arm isn't as strong as it was. His body isn't as strong as it was. Age has finally caught up to Peyton Manning and his arm. And without that consistency of the downward pass, the teams have been able to block up the middle. They've been able to go ahead and stop the run or maintain the run. And the pass, there is no long ball anymore. I think Seattle, showed the glaring weakness a couple years ago in the Super Bowl when they took away, the quick pass by Peyton Manning. They took away that 10-yard out. Peyton Manning became very pedestrian. He became a very pedestrian quarterback. He was something that, there was no threat. When he had the ability to get that ball out there 10 yards and all of a sudden the person came up and they covered him, they could take it deep. You take it away and he didn't have the deep ball to go to. So, I think that's the biggest difference that we're seeing right now is just that inconsistent play at the quarterback. And it does, in this game, I think that's going to be a very, very big factor, when we look at the overall scope of things. Because without the play of the quarterback, I do not think that they'll be able to run the ball as well. This is a good defensive front seven. They do an excellent job. If there's any weakness in here, the weakness is more towards the secondary. It's more towards the inner part, about the 10, 15 yards down the field. And Peyton just does not have the zip on his ball to get those balls anymore, to get that throw in that he needs to do. So that's, if you take a look at it, that's the struggle that Denver's going to have today. It's going to be moving the ball. The defense is solid. It's that offense that you worry about.
Now, when you think about Denver's defense and their offense, they kind of play off of each other. At least they did early in the year when the Denver offense was generating a fair amount of points from good field position, opportunistic turnovers, and just being able to allow defenses to get the ball back to them so they'd have more opportunities to grind it out. If Denver's defense starts to slip and starts to allow Carolina to score points, and this becomes a barn burner, how likely is it that Denver can keep up with a Cam Newton-led Carolina offense that's capable of throwing up 35 to 40 points?
I don't think they'll be able to keep up. And that's the thing. The only hope that I see for Denver right now is Denver needs to have a low-scoring game. If this game starts getting away, if Carolina starts scoring points, I don't think that Denver has the ability to keep up with them. And that's what we talked about. You said earlier, one of the prop bets is a backup going to play? If it starts getting away, you will see Brock Osweiler, because at least Brock Osweiler can get the ball downfield. Now, is he going to be accurate downfield? Well, he's proven that he's good for about a quarter. And the thing is Denver's going to have to hope that they still have a quarter left, that he can come in and at least take a little of the sting off of Carolina. Because, you better believe if they get ahead, you're going to start seeing the Carolina Panthers bunch the line, bring their cornerbacks up tight, and they're going to start putting pressure on Peyton to where, he's not going to have a chance to make that 10-yard out. He's not even going to have, because those guys are going to be on him so tight, it could turn into a runaway.
So what is the key for victory for the Denver Broncos? The three. Give me your three keys to victory
for Denver.
For Denver,
the keys for victory for Denver is keep the score low. They have to make sure that defense has got to be spot on. They have to play their reads. They have to play their position. They have to do what their job is. The defensive end. If you have the quarterback, you take the quarterback. If you have the running back, you're supposed to crash down and the cornerback's coming up. That's what you have to do. You cannot do more than what you're told to do. Because if you start doing that, that's when mistakes happen and that's when big plays happen. The other thing that they need to do in order to get this game is they need to be able to grind it out. That offensive line has got to carve out some holes for these running backs to get in. The longer and the more time of possession that Denver has that ball, the better chances they have for a win, because they really have to make this a short game. They can't get into a passing game. They can't get into a point to where they have to come down and score. They have to control it from the beginning. The third thing they got to do is special teams wise is they need to continue to pin Carolina deep. If they can keep Carolina stuck deep in their end, that's just going to, and play the field position game, that's going to be better for Denver, because the more that they can keep Carolina controlled at their end, keep them boxed in, the better chance they have for victory in this game.
Now, let's go conversely and talk about, I should say, Carolina's offense and the Carolina Panthers. What do they need to do to bring a Super Bowl trophy to Carolina?
Well, one thing, and we mentioned a little bit earlier when you were talking about who MVPs were, and we really haven't brought him up that much, and that is Greg Olsen. The one thing that has burned Denver's defense over the last couple of weeks has been the tight end position. We saw with Gronkowski. I mean, Gronkowski had a huge game against them in the championship game, and that's the only thing that kept them basically within that game frame. Olsen is on that side of a tight end. Is he the same caliber as Gronkowski? Maybe not. But I tell you, he is one hell of a tight end. He's a guy that can run the ball. He's got some speed he can catch, and he can move with it once he gets it. I think that in order for Carolina to win, Olsen has got to have a big game. And, I talk about a big game. He's going to have anywhere from 90-plus yards receiving. I look for him to have a couple of TDs. If we see that, this is going to be a blowout. The other thing that Carolina has to do, offensively to win this game is they've got to have Cam Newton in this game in all aspects. He's got to be able to run the ball, because by him taking that ball and running it up, it's going to loosen up that middle for Olsen. It's going to make sure that those linebackers are pulled up tight looking for Olsen. I've been surprised that Carolina hasn't done that, done the play that I've seen before where Cam Newton takes the ball, starts running towards the tight end position like he's going to run, and then does a quick pop over the middle to the tight end running right down the middle. To me, that is that's a gimme, because once you bring those linebackers up, it leaves that spot of the field wide open. But to get Cam Newton in the game as far as a running threat early, I think is really going to set the tone. The other thing that I think is got to be big on this, and whether they hit on it or not, is they've got to be able to throw that ball deep. I don't care if they throw it deep once, twice, three times. They've got to take. I don't even care if they connect. They've got to bring the threat of Ted Ginn going deep to loosen up the inside game again. The key to this, I think, is going to be Olsen. And by being able to have Cam Newton come up and take the edge, or Ted Ginn taking away the deep threat or putting the deep threat in there, that's going to free it up for what they do best. That's get the ball right down the middle and let your gritty tight end take it in for 15, 20 yards at a pop.
Now, given that we're getting down to about that time, we need to start talking about predictions. I'm going to give you just a couple of keys for me. Are going to be for Carolina. It's going to be score early, score often. If Carolina, I think their magic number here is 20. If they can get to 20 points before halftime, and then they don't let their foot off the gas coming out of the locker room after the halftime show, it's all over. Because I think no matter what was said, no matter 2 weeks of practice, you could have given them 4 weeks of practice. I just don't think the Denver offense is stout enough, especially under Peyton Manning, to be able to score more than 20, 25 points in this game. If it becomes a shootout. Now, if they can run the ball with C.J. Spiller and they can, just grind the clock down, which I think Denver will attempt to do, this will be a Peyton Manning Super Bowl that you see very little of Peyton Manning. If they can grind the clock and they can really, force Carolina to stay on the field and still get down and get in the end zone, and not put the ball in Cam Newton's hands very often, or for very long for that matter, I think Denver keeps it close and they have a chance. If Carolina gets turnovers, if they become opportunistic, they start playing with a short field and they start scoring touchdowns right away, it will get out of hand very quickly. I don't like the idea of the Denver Broncos trying to go toe-to-toe with that kind of offense. I don't think they're built for that. Not with Brock Osweiler, not with Peyton Manning. That Gary Kubiak offense was never built to be a high-flying, fast-paced offense. It was built to take yards in chunks, not giant chunks, but get first down after first down and grind it out. 10 yards here, 5 yards there, 8 yards there. That's what Gary Kubiak's offense that he instilled, that he brought in with him. That's what he's doing. On the other side of that, Mike Shula's offense and that Carolina Panthers offense is far and away more dynamic. It is, we can attack you from anywhere, and you need to be ready, and they play off of over pursuit, which is exactly why I said Denver's defense is going to have to slow down just a little bit. If they play this too fast, they're going to watch guys run right by them, is essentially what they're going to do. So I don't like the idea of Denver trying to go toe-to-toe, and I don't think Denver can play at the same game speed defensively as what they've been playing against New England, against Pittsburgh, and going forward, I think against Carolina, they're going to have to slow it down a little bit. They're not going to be able to blitz as much. Wade Phillips is going to have a fight on his hands because he's going to want to go after Cam Newton, but at the same time, it's going to be a gamble. Every time you send somebody after Cam Newton and you flush him out of the pocket, we've all seen he's just as dangerous, especially with Greg Olsen down the middle as a relief valve, or Ted Ginn Jr., who can take the top off of any defense, whether he handles the ball, whether he can catch the ball or not. That's going to be a different story.
That will be. And I agree with you. And the one thing that I think, you listen to both of us talking, oh my God, Carolina's going to just run away with this. Hold on a little bit. You got to remember the assistant coach of the year in the NFL this year was Wade Phillips.
Right.
And Wade Phillips he's one of the keys on the Denver sideline because with the plan that he has, and it would not surprise me, Steve, to see the Denver Broncos load the box.
Absolutely.
Because they have good cornerbacks, they have good safeties, they have the ability to cover these guys one-on-one that do get out.
Right.
But if they can load the box and take away any part of the run game, any part of the scramble that Newton may have, and believe me, they will have a spy on Newton.
Right.
I mean, they will have one person that spies, but I will not be surprised at all if I see Denver load the box and force Carolina to pass the ball. And you're saying, well, God, I mean, they got Ginn. Yeah, they do, but Ginn has a penchant for dropping the ball.
Right.
And the thing is you've got one of the best cover guys, Nakeem Talib, out there, to put on anyone that you want. And to me, I'm putting someone on Greg Olsen, and I'm assigning that linebacker. I'm taking my best cover linebacker, and I'm putting him there. And I'm going to take away Olsen. And I'm going to line up, my best defender as far as quarterback on their best person. And I'm going to take a chance that if I can make Cam Newton pass that ball, I got a chance now.
I think with the talent they have in the defensive backfield, if they can force Carolina to become a one-dimensional, a passing-only team, kind of like what they did with New England, I think that gives them their ultimate chance to beat Carolina and to be able to beat them in a low-scoring effort, like what I think would be the key that they would need. Short field for Denver, as short as field as possible, and keep Carolina's offense off the field. If they can do that, that would allow Denver to increase that pass rush speed, keep the intensity going. Because once again, you take a team that goes full bore on every play, eventually they're going to get tired. If you can extend drives, I mean, that's kind of the gamble for them. They put it all out in every play. They go full bore in every play, but they only expect to be on the field 3 plays. That's exactly what they want. They want to be in and out 3 plays. And that's why they give it everything they got on every play. So it's a dangerous game. It really is. It's a hell of a gamble. But if Denver can pull it off, they win. So I would say it is prediction time, my friend. We've got a couple of minutes left to go. We're about out of here. Let's go. Super Bowl 50. What's your official prediction?
Well, as I took a look at this, and one thing you got to remember, this is where you're going to get the coaches for Denver. They're going to come on, and yes, believe me, the team sees what the odds are. They see what the betting public are. They see what the thoughts are. They've listened to all the pundits. They say, "Oh no, I don't listen to that." Yes, they do. Yes, they do hear it. And on the Denver side, you hear how favored the Carolina Panthers are. This is where you have the Denver Broncos. They're going in saying, "Hey, this is it. This is your last game of the year. You've got a lot of time to rest up after this." But in the Super Bowl, you remember the winners. You don't remember the losers. And this is one where you definitely do not want to come on the short end, and you do not want to leave anything out in the field. And as much as I'd like to say that Denver has a chance in this, I just can't. I love Denver's defense. I love what they do. I love the intensity that Von Miller brings to the game. I love that whole linebacking crew. Their defensive backs top notch. But I look on the other side and I see a Carolina offense that is just at this time. I mean, they've not had any really big injury all year long. And I think that's one of the keys as you walk into this game and you take a look at it. Well, you have teams that come back from injury, teams that have people missing. I can't name one person from the Carolina Panthers, any major player, that's missed significant time this year. This is a team that is well groomed. They have a quarterback that is like a tight end out there running the ball, but only can run like a running back and can throw the ball as far as you want him to throw the ball. On the defensive side, we talk about Denver's defense as being the number one defense. Well, here's the thing. Carolina has the second best defense. That's right. Yes, they aren't the defense of the Denver Broncos, but this is a defense that is the second best in the NFL. This is the one that can also, limit you. The problem with Carolina's defense and what made it number 2 is that Carolina's defense has gotten lazy as the game has gone on. That's been their biggest problem. They have gone into games just killing people. You take a look most recently, the big numbers that they were on the Seattle Seahawks, only to see that lead come down to where an onside kick, saving the onside kick and recovering it, kept them into the victory column. So this defense does have some flaws, and I think it's more overconfident. I think, though, when you come to the Super Bowl game, this is one where the defensive coordinators and Ron Rivera is going to keep sticking on to his defense. Remember, Ron Rivera, he's not a stranger to the Super Bowl. He played in it way back when for your Super Bowl Bears. Back in '85, he was part of the linebacking crew, part of one of the best defenses that ever was out there. He is going to have some words for his defense, and he's going to make sure that they are ready. I just don't see the offense for Denver. I don't see Peyton Manning of old. I see Peyton Manning just being old and not being able to do what he could do. This one I think is a runaway. I think Carolina is going to take this. I'm thinking this score is going to be about 34-14.
34-14.
Yep. I don't think it's really going to be close.
Wow, that's a big score. All right, I am going to when I looked at this game, like I said, I originally thought blowout city. Now that I've got, I have a chance to settle down a little bit and look at it.
Calm yourself.
I thought Denver really has an opportunity to slow down the Carolina offense and try and give a short field to Peyton Manning, give a short field to the Denver offense, and then I started to look at a lot of the past Denver defenses versus mobile quarterbacks, and I've noticed they had one inconsistency that on the defense versus those types of offenses and others, is that they cannot seem to stop a mobile quarterback. They have to respect that quarterback scramble. And when you do that, you immediately take away the biggest bullet in that defense's gun, which is the intense pass rush. If you slow down that pass rush, you slow down Von Miller, you slow down Ware, you slow these guys down just a step, that's all it will take for that offense to become successful against the Denver defense. Now, they also have some very good defensive backs, some very fast defensive backs, guys that can blitz, guys that can come up from 10 yards back and make an impact at the line of scrimmage. It is a very interesting dynamic and probably the biggest storyline in this game, and that is the Denver defense versus the Carolina offense. I expect Denver to play this close. I expect Denver to really give a good game of it early. I don't expect Carolina to come out early and take advantage of mistakes or anything like that, because I think Peyton Manning is going to come out and play very safe. We're not going to see Peyton Manning make a bunch of dangerous throws. He's going to come out and play it very safe. However, I still have questions about if Peyton Manning trusts his offensive line. One of the reasons why Manning has made a lot of these throws that have gone over guys' heads, have missed routes, intercepted and returned, and so on and so forth, is because you see Manning trying to force plays, trying to make plays happen. As long as he doesn't do that, and he can trust that offensive line to give him a little bit of protection, let the play develop, and then make the pass, I think Denver has an opportunity. That said, Carolina could play off of that. Disruptions, blitzes, early. You get into Peyton's head early, and I think you'll be there the entire game. At the end of it all, I think it's just going to be too much Carolina offense for that Denver defense. It's going to be too much Cam Newton. It's going to be too much guesswork by Peyton Manning as to how he's going to drive the ball downfield consistently. And I think it's going to be just a little too much Carolina. I think Carolina pulls it out. I do think it's going to be fairly low scoring for a Carolina game. I have Carolina winning 27-17.
Okay.
So that is our official predictions. So we both have Carolina.
That's we don't agree too often.
Yeah, we don't agree a lot.
But this is one where I just, like I said, I think instead of looking for the old Peyton Manning, you're just getting an old Peyton Manning, and I think that's
right.
I think that's going to be the key in this game.
Right, and I totally agree. So,
it's been fun, young man.
It has been great. The inaugural XERS Super Bowl
soiree.
Yeah, soiree, pregame show, whatever you want to call it. But it's all over now.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get the grill fired up. I got to stop and get some lighter fluid on the way home.
Yeah, me.
And
I've got
the wings and ribs are ready to go.
Yeah, I've got
burgers for my wife.
Pulled pork in the crock pot, getting ready to shred that up when I get home, and we got all kinds of stuff happening.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. This is the one time of year where a party is what's called for.
Absolutely, and it's time to party.
It is. Let's do it.
Absolutely. We will see you guys next Friday. Enjoy the Super Bowl and enjoy the commercials and everything therein. And make sure, do me a favor, if you're at a party, getting something to drink, be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe. Call a cab. We want you to be able to tune in next week.
Yeah, we want you here next week where we can wrap it up and you can help us out with it.
All right. And Maximus and the Bartender will bring you all of the Super Bowl wrap Tuesday night. And then you'll hear us again Friday night for our coverage. And for Steve Dennerman, this is Steve Willis saying enjoy the Super Bowl and enjoy your week.
Have a good afternoon.